आप सभी उद्यमियों का इस हॉल में स्वागत। और जिस तरीके से हम लगातार चर्चा कर रहे हैं और जो भी सम्मानित अतिथि अभी तक हमारे साथ इस कार्यक्रम में जुड़े, उन्होंने उन तमाम चीज़ों को बताने की कोशिश की है और कि कैसे एमएसएमई भारत की जो गति है उसमें कदम ताल लगातार कर रहा है। लेकिन ये हमारा जो सेशन है वो अपने आप में बेहद खास है। हमने कई अभी जितने भी हमारे अतिथि आए, उन्होंने कहा कि आखिर किसी एक एमएसएमई के लिए किन तमाम चीज़ों की जो आवश्यकता है वो रहती है, और उसमें दो चीज़ें जो सबसे ख़ास हैं, एक है एक आइडिया जो किसी भी एमएसएमई को, किसी भी व्यापार को, किसी भी स्टार्टअप को एक गति देता है, और उसके साथ है फंड्स। और मेरे साथ जो इस वक्त ख़ास मेहमान मौजूद हैं, एक वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट हैं और एक है एसआरआई जो सेल्फ रिलाय इंडिया फंड है। उसके ज़रिए आप जैसे तमाम उद्यमियों को जो ताकत है वो यहाँ पर देते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि एक ऐसी जुगलबंदी है जिसकी सबसे ज़्यादा आवश्यकता शुरुआत में किसी भी एमएसएमई के लिए जो है वो पड़ती है, और उसमें जो दोनों शख्सियतें हमारे साथ इस वक्त मौजूद हैं उसकी जो दशा है, जो दिशा है, वो तय कर सकते हैं। और उसमें हमारे साथ उन तमाम चीज़ों को हम समझने की जो है वो कोशिश करेंगे। और हम जो बात है वो आप तक पहुँचे, उसकी सबसे पहले निनाद सर मैं आपके साथ जो है वो शुरुआत करना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि हमारे इस सेशन का जो नाम है वो है कि मुश्किल दौर से उस स्थायी विकास की ओर जो हमारे एमएसएमई हैं वो आखिर कैसे उस रास्ते को तय करें। और ये कहा जा रहा है कि भारत के लिए जो ये वक्त है वो सबसे ज़्यादा खास है, उन एमएसएमईज़ के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा खास है। तो इसकी शुरुआत में आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे कि ये जो स्थिति है एमएसएमईज़ के लिए, आने वाला जो रास्ता है वो कितना मुश्किल है, वो कैसे तय किया जाना है?
थैंक यू फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी। मैं बम्बई से हूँ, तो मेरी बम्बई हिंदी अगर मैं बात करूँ तो सारा ऑडियंस निकल जाएगा यहाँ से। सो आई विल स्पीक इन मोर इन इंग्लिश, लिटिल बिट हिंदी। After listening to all such chaste Hindi, I can't dare to speak in Hindi. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you, Himanshu, for calling. So I think if there has been any opportunity now, ever, it is now. India में हमारा मार्केट इतना बड़ा है, GDP ग्रोथ चल रहा है। रजनीश कुमार जी ने एक जो पॉइंट कहा उन्होंने in his presentation, which is where I come in, which is venture capital. He actually made a very strong point saying एक जो बड़ा गैप है वो वेंचर कैपिटल का गैप है। तो इनिशियल रिस्क कैपिटल नहीं अभी भी डेवलप हुआ है, एंड ऑफ कोर्स एज अ फर्म एट 100x वी हैव फंडेड 180 स्टार्टअप्स। सो ऑन अ लार्जर स्केल वेयर इज द अपॉर्चुनिटी? यू लुक आउटसाइड द विंडो, देयर इज अपॉर्चुनिटी एवरीवेयर, एंड द फैक्ट इज MSMEs हैव अ ग्रेट चांस टू सक्सीड फॉर अ सिंपल रीजन: दे आर फास्ट, they are agile, and they're able to move much faster than large companies. Consumer segment, industrial segment, AI, robotics, agri-tech, सब जगह पे there are opportunities. There's no shortage of opportunities. What is the missing gap? Entrepreneurship and the first mile of capital. First mile. So I don't see today, when I go to young colleges and speak to young girls and boys, and I ask them, how many of you want to become entrepreneurs, startup founders? 5 years back, 10 years back, 30-40% used to raise their hands. Today, 90% raise their hands. So, unme hai, josh hai, they have the desire, they need guidance, little bit mentoring, and they need initial capital. Once you get the initial capital, the balance flows through. I see opportunity across all spectrums. Even if there's an existing player who is strong in any sector, there's always a chance for a MSME startup person to come with a new product, better. Either the product is better, faster, consumer connect across India. There is no shortage of opportunity. In short, the only thing is, the only limitation is in the mind.
Okay, sir. Sauna sir, जब इनिशिएशन हो रहा है या शुरुआत हो रही है, what are the trends you are seeing in the MSME in the current scenario, and what is the potential, and then in coming years वो जो आप चूज करते हैं क्योंकि यू हैव टू फंड इट, वो क्योंकि उनके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा रिक्वायरमेंट है उसके लिए, तब आप अपने लिहाज से किन की पॉइंट्स को देखते हैं किसी भी MSME के लिए जो आप ज़रूरी मानते हैं एट द स्टार्टिंग पीरियड?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sumit. I am Saravana. I represent the Ministry of MSME. Is audible? Good afternoon to all of you. Ministry of MSME, Government of India. Like what they mentioned, we manage Self-Reliant India Fund. It's a MSME-oriented startup and fund, a venture capital fund, funded by Government of India, 100%, and NSIC also one of the co-investor plus sponsor. And so small brief, then I'll answer to your question
yes,
also.
Take your time, please.
This fund is existing for last 4 years. It's funded mainly for a MSME, startup and growth phase company, small companies. Like we have almost 670 entrepreneurs. We have funded them. And near about, out of 670, near about more than some 90-95 are female MSME startup entrepreneurs. And it's invested across India. It's generated near about 150,000 employment for last 4 years. It's a sector agnostic fund. It's a fund of fund, sector agnostic, agriculture, e-commerce, defense, aerospace, rural development, education, healthcare, various sector, even fintech, in various sectors. We have funded for last 4 years' time. And till now, we have invested at near about 2,000 crores. And, but as I mentioned to you, it's a fund of fund. So the Government of India as well as NSIC put together, we invest maximum 20% into any particular fund. It's a fund. So basically, we empanel the alternate investment fund, which is approved by the government regulator SEBI, Security Exchange Board of India. And like that, we empaneled near about some 70 funds till date. And we give money to them, assuming that, ICC Venture or SBI's new fund is State Bank of India's new fund is raising, say, 2,000 crores. Maximum we participate 20% that particular fund. We give money. They in turn invest in company like, startup companies and MSME companies. Like that, I told you near about 670 MSME company we have funded. It's a sector agnostic. And so you can also get the benefit out of this particular fund. So you can, Google SRI or NSIC Venture Capital Fund, you'll get all the information. So answering to Mr. Sumit Chowdhury's query, so it's we look at the promoters, fire in the belly and his vision and sector what he is operating, even the competitive advantage that particular sector, and whether he can able to scale up the business, he or she scale up the business going forward. And we look at various parameters, maybe some 60-70 parameters. We look at the various entrepreneur. And if we are finding, the entrepreneurs, meet our parameters, we give money to them. And as I told you, we maximum give 20% money through our venture capital empanel fund to the startup company or growth phase company. So balance money that fund mobilize from global investors or domestic investors, then that money also goes to the Indian MSME or startup ecosystem. It's a sector agnostic. It can be, everywhere. Like, as I told you, one of our many of our investing company went for listing also. Like, Solar World, it's listed in BSE, NSE exchange. Then Mama Earth also listed. Then eBag Durable, manufacture the compressor unit for, Voltas and Daikin. That also, got listed. Now, Septo is going for listing, it's one of our investing company. Lenskart is going for listing, it's one of our investing company. Like that, we have around 670 investing company. And one company which we have funded almost 3 years back called New Space Research Limited, it's a Gurugram-based company, which manufactured drones for a military purpose. That drone company actually participated in the Operation Sindoor 6, 7 months back in Jammu and Kashmir, and it has really helped Indian military system, Indian aerospace, Air Force system, in which they got near about 200 crores repeat order after the Operation Sindoor. So that way we participate for India's national building and others also. There is this particular startup and MSME oriented fund.
बिल्कुल, और इसी वजह से आत्मनिर्भर भारत की जो परिकल्पना की गई है वो इसके ज़रिए जो है वो संभव भी हो रही है, जो एक सपना है। निनाद सर, मैं एक चीज़ जो समझना चाहूँगा, एट द स्टार्टिंग पीरियड एज आई आस्क्ड श्रवण सर, कि जो हर्डल्स हैं, व्हाट आर द हर्डल्स दैट यू आर सीइंग? इट्स फंडिंग, इट्स लैक ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, और लोगों को अवेयरनेस नहीं है। जो फंड्स जो हैं या फिर जो कैपिटल वेंचर्स हैं या फिर जो एसआरआई जैसे फंड्स हैं, वो उन्हें कैसे अवेल हो सकते हैं? व्हाट आर द हर्डल्स दैट यू आर सीइंग एट द व्हेन द स्टार्टअप्स आर स्टार्टिंग देयर वेंचर्स एंड द समथिंग एल्स?
I'll make it short क्योंकि काफ़ी hurdles है, लेकिन the first big thing is what he mentioned about fire in the belly. This is not to talk about my fund, but we have done 180 investments in startups. 178 out of 180 are from girls and boys from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. दो ही है, एक बॉम्बे का है, एक कहीं का है. They afterwards they migrate to Bangalore for tech or migrate to Bombay, but fundamentally they are from smaller cities. What does that tell me? That the hunger, the fire in the belly is with these girls and boys outside of these metros. When they have that hunger, everything else gets solved. Earlier session also someone said, when you're thirsty, you find water. There is a problem of technology, but today, because of so much open source, any and every technology is possible. Capital is not so easy at first mile, but it is possible. There are people like us, and there are other people also who fund very early stage startups. And I sometimes tell कि capital is chasing ideas. 10 साल पहले ideas were chasing capital. We are now chasing ideas all the time. तो capital by and large थोड़ा मुश्किल है, मिल सकता है. You know, people get dejected कि इनको pitch किया, मुझे pitch किया, पैसा नहीं मिला. I tell them global average is 65 times you have to present, तभी आपको पैसा मिलेगा. 2-4 बार एक करके नहीं मुझे funding नहीं मिलते. Ask them कितने बार, how many times have you approached? नहीं, I have approached this one, that one, 2 बार नहीं होता है. So that resilience is there, fire in the belly, everything else falls in place. And my vote really is for tier 2, tier 3 cities. Founders from there, the next big idea in India will come from that. And the next biggest MSME will come from people from those places. I don't think technology is a problem. Capital, yes. I don't think it's a huge problem. मिल सकता है, it is possible. It's not possible. The only thing that remains is someone having the ability to bring together. I've got 180 stories, but let me give just one story. This Kuldeep, there were 2 boys, brothers who came from Agra, and they wanted to start a startup in the pension space. Very new, no one has tried before, no capital. And we have, we have a model where we give the first capital. That idea would have died a death. कोई अगर पैसा नहीं देता, उनके पास they had the knowledge because they had worked in the pension industry in UK. They had the fire in the belly. One was tech partner, one was business partner. Capital was missing, which we provided. So this all comes together if, and they came to us from Agra and we funded them. It's possible. 3 boys from Calcutta came, last final year students. They were just at a PowerPoint and they wanted to do a startup called Data Sutram, which we funded, locational intelligence. Ho gaya. So I don't think there's anything critical missing. We should not complain of that.
Sir, but as a VC, what is your preference when you fund a particular business? It should be a startup or a MSME. If you want to choose from them, आपका preference क्या रहता है?
Then it's both. There is no either or. Startup is just a label, a registration which you get. MSME is a certification which you get. If you get a MSME certification, you get a lot of protection also because of payments from corporates and all that. So I don't, so people who are startups, you have to register under DPIT. That does not mean you cannot register as MSME. In fact, wherever our founders are supplying to large corporates, we tell them register an MSME also. So it's not, so it's both actually.
यानी निराज सर ये कह रहे हैं कि पहले जो सिचुएशंस थी उसके लिहाज से अब जो है बदलाव आया है. अब आइडियाज़ की कमी है, पैसे की कमी नहीं है. अगर आइडिया है तो उसे जो है अब फॉलो किया जा रहा है. मैं श्रवण सर आपसे जो है समझना चाहूँगा कि अगर एज ए इन्वेस्टर जब आप चीज़ों को जो है फॉलो करते हैं तो आपको एमएसएमई की कौन से वो सेक्टर्स हैं जो आपको लगता है हैव पोटेंशियल इन द करंट सिनेरियो इन एमएसएमईज जो अभी बहुत बेहतर कर सकते हैं?
Thank you, Sumit. See, as I told you, normally last 4-5 years, if you observe the trend in the startup ecosystem, it is mainly in the e-commerce side it's picking it up, but there's a too competitive and there's a cash burn is very high. Not that everybody is able to survive. Education technology side also, it's a lot of competition was there. But most of the education companies survived during the COVID time. Post-COVID, the education sector, startup companies facing a challenge. But still, there are some, there are some startup which has a specific USP kind of a stuff. It is doing well, and the cleanness, green kind of a green energy, green kind of a stuff, kind of a theme. Last 4-5 years, really picking it up. We are also, I'll give you a small example like what Ninad sir said, There is one company called Kabadiwala. It's based in Indore, Madhya Pradesh. And the promoters, two promoters, very innovative guys, not very highly educated. And they collect all the kabadis, that Indore, near Indore and Indore city. And all this waste, even the municipal corporation of Indore also was facing a challenge for last 10-15 years. And these guys start collecting the, from the kabadiwalas and collect all the, rattis and whatever kabadis, kudas. And they burn and generate the thermal energy, through the boiler system or whatever. And they're able to generate the electricity, and they're able to supply to the state grid or whatever, electricity grid. And they're able to make money out of that. Now, that company also we funded through our green fund. We have some reservation for the green side also. So, that Kabadiwala promoters, they're expanding to, not only in Madhya Pradesh, even outside Madhya Pradesh also, they're focusing. So, like that, we have find a lot of, startups are coming in EV segment, solar segment, EV also charging, EV component, others. Even there is one startup company based in Ahmedabad, he started he's kind of developed one small motor, EV, electrical vehicle motor, which doesn't use the rare earth. Normally the 90% of rare earth is imported from China, in which China has put some lot of restriction. Indian motor manufacturers, including automobile manufacturers, facing a challenge. So these guys, two young boys, less than 25 years of old, they could able to develop some magnet based out of without rare earth and which is able to generate the electricity, which is able to run the motor, So that kind of a stuff. And I told you, solar side also we find a lot of solar components and the solar installation and others. Even the solar ancillary supply system also we find a lot of startup companies coming in. Agri-tech also we find a lot of agri-tech, So there are some soil testing, one startup company, in which they're able to do the soil testing with a low cost compared to other, whatever the regular methods. So like that, we have various, then in healthcare side also, we are finding a lot of startup companies are coming in and, so, but, we are finding healthcare, even the e-commerce, then the green energy segment, even the fintech segment, these are the segments tend to grow even for next 10-15 years.
Okay. Ninad sir, as you said, आप कभी भी डिफरेंशिएट नहीं करते हैं एमएसएमईज के अंदर या फिर जो भी स्टार्टअप्स हैं, ये सिर्फ एक लेबल है. बट व्हाट वुड यू सजेस्ट फॉर द फाउंडर्स व्हेन दे पिच इन फ्रंट ऑफ वीसी और एज श्रवण कुमार सर एसआरआई से हैं, तो वो उनका जो पिच है वो किस तरीके का होना चाहिए? फंडिंग की तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, तो किस तरीके से वो कन्विंस कर सकते हैं?
देखिए, जब if you do an MSME like a family business, and then you're raising finance. So you're doing it for your own family and which is not bad. But if you're wanting to raise VC money, then you have to have a business proposition where you scale a lot. आप पहले साल 1 करोड़ टर्नओवर है, नेक्स्ट ईयर 1.25 है, नेक्स्ट ईयर 1.35 है, आप वीसी तो फंड नहीं करेगा आपको. आप फाइनेंस के पास जाओ, दे आर वेरी हैप्पी, चलो ये कैश फ्लो सही है. आप 1 करोड़ से 5 करोड़ से 50 करोड़ 100 करोड़, देन वी गेट एक्साइटेड. तो हमारा रिस्क एपेटाइट है. वी हैव फंडेड 180 स्टार्टअप्स, उसमें से 80% आर गोइंग टू फेल, वी नो इट, बट दैट्स द रिस्क एपेटाइट वी टेक. सो माय यंगर सन नील टेल्स मी, डैड यू आर नॉट अ वेंचर कैपिटल, यू आर एडवेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट. इतना एडवेंचर कैसे ले सकते हो आप, 80% फेल होने वाला है. बट दैट इज हाउ इट इज. सो आपका क्या माइंडसेट है? लाइफस्टाइल बिजनेस है विच इज बेसिकली फॉर यू एंड योर फैमिली, तो आप फाइनेंस ले लो ना. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ इट. आपका व्हाट इज योर एपेटाइट? योर एपेटाइट इज टू स्केल रैपिडली एंड फेस द प्रेशर ऑफ रैपिड स्केल. Become like Zepto, 17 years old, 16 years old, he raised money and now he's $1 billion. Or you want to just do a small business. So depending on that, now if you are in the first category, you become, you raise bank finance, whatever finance. Second category हो तो हमारे जैसे लोग हैं, 2x. You can pitch, you can register as a startup, and then you can also register as an MSME. There's no problem. Because MSME registration gives you a lot of protection. It gives you, you're entitled to loans, you are, large companies don't pay you, you can complain, all those things are there. But if you have to come to VCs to raise money, you cannot have a business which is a lifestyle business.
Shravan sir, what are the important factors in the SRI that you consider during the funding of MSME or any startup?
Yeah, thank you, sir. See, we look at various parameters. The important parameter is the promoters, like what Nanad sir said, fire in the belly. What are they having a real dream on scaling, that business to take it forward, further scaling up. See, whatever today, what Nanad sir said, today the turnover is 1 crore. 5 years later also, if it is going to be 1 crore, then, then none of the venture capital and other investors will not look at that proposal seriously, number one. So the scalability of the business plays a major role, number two. Number three is, the promoters, normally 2 promoters are, it's preferable. And the promoters' track record, even the past track record, what are the business they did, and, maybe the success rate, whatever that we look at, too. And third is, even they're assuming that they're operating in some sector, industry sector. What is the government regulation? See, for example, there are some startup company, they are game into the real money gamble, real money gaming segment, on which government of India banned it, right? Real money gaming, they have banned it, right? So like that, even then, so like that, there are some sectors in which government regulation may not allow them to scale up the business or maybe prevent them to operate. So government regulation also plays a major role. And fourth is, even when we are funding for that MSME company, startup company, even we'll look at even other investors also, other investors, are they coming for a long-term period, or maybe are they kind of, going to be there for only 1 or 2 years, short-term investors. So that also plays some extent role. And fourth is, if it is going to be a cash burn company, that, the startup company, so then we'll see how long that runway is going to exist. If the runway is going to be there for a long period, then it is for us also going to be a challenge. So normally, if it is a higher cash burn startup company, we try to think 100 times before investing money. For fourth, and the fifth point, and sixth point is we also look for an exiting opportunity in that investing company, whatever the startup company. And if you find that for us exiting is going to be difficult, even after some period, then we may not look at that kind of a proposal. So these are the various parameters in which we look at, and even the technology what they are operating. See, for example, there are some company operated in the IT space, in which the artificial intelligence came and taken away most of their business. So the technology obsolescence also plays a major role. So technology also we give a lot of weightage. And one more point is maybe 8th or 9th point is, see, assuming that I have started a startup company way back in say 1990, and if it is operating in say e-commerce or internet-based, that time the internet penetration was much more lower, and even the mobile penetration was much lower. So that time, whatever the internet.com company came in 1990s, 95s, it was not succeeded. Even the guy who was funded for that kind of a company, also startup company, also they didn't able to fund it, and they could not able to get the exit also. So the timing also plays a major role. We have to look at the timing. But today, same time, the internet penetration or mobile phone penetration is much more higher. That's the reason the e-commerce or whatever, all these things are really able to scale up. We are able to see Zomato and so many other players in the system. So the technology, timing, the scalability, fire in the belly, and their vision, and how the promoters are getting along. Then the last important point is the corporate governance and the ethical standard of the promoters. That also plays a major role. So the ethical standard is very, very, it's doubtful. Then investors will not make any money out of that. So these are the important parameters in which, as an investor, we look at before investing in any startup company.
These are the key points the investor always prefer at the time of the investing. And what should be the points and the factors by the investor should be look into, whether it is a government fund or by a VC, which will be the best for the MSME.
So, lending is very different from VC funding. Lending में क्या है कि हमेशा सोचते हैं कि इसमें गलत क्या होगा. Before I give money, what can go wrong? We think exactly the opposite. That's why I call myself adventure capitalist. We think what can go right. So if it goes right, what can happen? That's how people like Zepto got money. We have funded 180. So if we have too many parameters in what can go right, we will never make an investment decision.
निराज सर, सबसे ज़्यादा जो प्रॉब्लम है इस वक्त MSMEs के सामने, वो आपको क्या दिख रहा है एट द टाइम जब हम ट्रेड वॉर वाली सिचुएशंस देख रहे हैं, जीडीपी का कह रहे हैं कि हमें डाउनफॉल जो है वो देखने को मिलेगा. इसमें उस चैलेंज को देखते हुए अब जो चैलेंजेस हैं वो क्या हैं और उनसे ओवरकम कैसे जो है वो किया जाएगा?
देखिए, ट्रेड वॉर्स का जो है इट्स अ मैक्रो फैक्टर एंड वी कैनॉट कंट्रोल. इट्स अ बटन. समटाइम्स इट विल वैनिश आल्सो द वे थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग. So I don't think we should, emphasize too much on that. In terms of if you want to do a business, you have to put your head down and look at it. I think the biggest challenge people still feel is ease of doing business has to still come down, become easier, and that is a lot of it is connected to the state governments. So some state governments EODB is good, some it is not so good. तो जो शुरुआत में है, जो एंटरप्रेन्योर इंडिया में द चैलेंजेस ही फेसेस और शी फेसेस और रजिस्ट्रेशन है, ऑल द compliances, India is at an extreme right compared to a lot of countries. Idea is good, technology है, entrepreneurship spirit है, plenty of it is there. I think this part, a lot of it still needs to get simplified. So that is what I would say is the biggest challenge which needs to be done. And it's not just central government. वहाँ पे local bodies भी है, state government भी है, and so people like your media obviously are playing a good role in highlighting all this. But अभी भी उसमें काफी improvement हो सकती है.
As Nasser says, it's a difficult time for the MSMEs, Shravan sir. क्या VCs and government funds, जो भी SRIs फॉर एग्जांपल या जो भी सब्सिडीज हैं, वो साथ आकर MSMEs के लिए कोई एक नया रास्ता बना सकते हैं? Can they give them a direction or a path?
Definitely, it's happening now. See, even even Government of India, various institutions, they have also promoted various sovereign fund. Government of India fund. Even SIDBI, DPIT is fund for startup, FFS, run by the SIDBI. Like that, SRI. Then even the National Infrastructure Investment Fund. It's a 49% owned by Government of India. So based out of Mumbai, they are also funding a lot of startup and other MSME companies also. And so not only the government side, even the private sector side also, a lot of venture capital fund, even the fund of fund, so many funds are operating in India today. So opportunities are humongous. Only thing is you have to find you have to have a good idea. The entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs need to have a good idea. The idea has to be workable, and they need to have vision. And plus, they need to be, it should be a materialistic also. They have to commercially, they have to make money. That is after some time. See, end of the day, the investors are not running for a charity, so they are also looking for a return of investment, MOAC, and whatever. So many parameters. So when we are investing, we look at all these data points, and we also know how the trend is going to happen, So like what Inal sir said, he might have seen more than some 1 lakh proposal. Out of that, he would have invested 180 proposals. 80,000 proposal. Out of that, he would have shortlisted 180 investments, right? So like that, even we also know it is a startup, so that's a mortality rate is higher. Even not that all the venture we are investing in the startup company will succeed. We also know that, near about 90% may fail possible. That we are agreeable. If it is a commercially business point of view, it's a failure, we are able to accept it. So that risk we are taking. End of the day, whatever the venture capital is nothing but a risk capital. So risk capital. Even if you ask me, 1983, Infosys was started at Pune with the 2 lakh rupees capital. It's not even micro enterprise, below the micro enterprise. Then they have, when the IPO came in 1993, it was devolved. It's not fully subscribed. Today, Ninadji or yourself want to buy entire Infosys 100% stake, that you have to pay 6,40,000 crores. It's not only the large scale company, it is listed even not only BSE, NSE, it's listed in New York Stock Exchange. It's one of the global highly acceptable company. So it started with only 2 lakh rupees. So basically the promoter had a vision. Infosys promoters had a vision. They were operating right technology, number 2. Number 3, they are able to scale up the business. Number 4, they are a very good team player. They are able to manage it. They are more than some 1,40,000 employees are there today. So they are able to have a good team managers. 5th is the ethical standard, highly ethical company in the globally. So then they are able to withstand if they are able to manage all the government regulation. That means they are able to operate within the government regulation. They had a lot of product innovation also. So that whatever they had a product, it had a lot of innovation. The service also, IT service also had a lot of innovation. So they're able to scale up the business, they're able to succeed.
अगर आप ये वीडियो YouTube पर देख रहे हैं तो हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर बेल आइकन दबाएं और Facebook पर देख रहे हैं तो हमारे पेज को लाइक करें।